Hey everyone, welcome back to the CLTP studio session. My name is Brandon, lead consultant for CLT Podcasting, the brand new boutique firm in Charlotte, North Carolina, helping you bring your podcast from concept to launch and beyond. Today, we're going to hop on our latest in this week's theme of understanding the process of podcasting. Yesterday, we discussed and broke down pre-production, and today we'll hop into production. Before we hop in, do not forget to check out our website, www.cltpodcasting.com, learn about our services, and also get a pre-calculation of your show by submitting the Calculate Your Podcast Cost form. 7 or so questions that'll come to me, and we'll set up a no strings attached discovery call to discuss your ideas, your show, and how we can be of assistance. And you can also follow our socials by checking out our Beacons page, beacons.ai/CLT podcasting. So to review, there are 3 main parts to podcasting. There's pre-production, production, post-production. Pre-production is planning, production is execution, and post-production is polishing and launching. Yesterday, we broke down pre-production, the planning stage. So today, let's discuss production. So production is the moment that everyone thinks about when they think of podcasting. That is the sitting down at the studio with a mic, hitting record, having a conversation. That is the production part of the podcasting process. Now, that being said, as with pre-production, there's a lot more to it than simply sitting down, hitting record, and having a conversation. You want to make sure numerous things are in place before this happens. That's where pre-production comes in. And a number of those things will include where to record and how to record. So let's say if you're a solo podcaster, that could be at home. If you have some kind of at-home makeshift setup with a decent computer, microphone, maybe some sound paneling foam on your walls to help with noise, or it's at a professional local studio that offers hourly reservation for space, and they already have a professional setup with numerous microphones, headphones, and a professional recorder like a Rodecaster or something similar. Now, once all that's decided, of course, you have to determine schedule. If you're by yourself, it's that simple. If you have co-hosts or guests, a bit more complicated, but production is the action of sitting down, having that conversation. What you ideally want to do as a newer podcaster, especially if you're doing something outside of storytelling, well, even if you're storytelling, you do want to potentially consider the habit of scripting yourself. A lot of times we can get into the mindset of having to try to perform on a podcast, and that can cause us to trip over our words or to sometimes not know where to go. So scripting ourselves can help us give a nice template of how that conversation, that time, should go about. And that can help us build important kind of bumpers to keep on topic, make sure we don't do too many pivots that take us away from the topic, and provide ancillary content that doesn't cater to the purpose of that recording, etc., etc. So those are really helpful practices to make sure that the production part goes well. Of course, keep in mind, if you're going to be recording in a professional studio that's not yours, more likely than not, one, they're going to have you sign up for some kind of training day so that you have a chance to get into the studio, get familiar with their equipment, which is never going to be cheap equipment. A professional studio will have some pretty pricey equipment. For instance, if they have a Rodecaster Pro 2, that's easily a $500 to $600 piece of gear that you'll be learning how to use for your audio. And then once that's done, more often than not, the least you want to make sure you have with you is something to record on. The Rodecaster or whatever recording device they have doesn't store the audio by itself. It usually requires some kind of micro SD card, or for it to be clipped into or wired in to some kind of computer that you want to make sure that your audio is being recorded onto, because otherwise you hit record, you talk for an hour, you turn the recording off, and you don't have a computer attached or an SD card in there. You just talked for no reason for an hour. So you want to make sure you're taking the proper steps, be wary and aware of how each setup works, so that every single time you go in and you have that conversation and you hit the mic, fire it up, and have the conversation, everything is done properly. So for more tips like that, be sure to check us out at cltpodcasting.com. Tomorrow we'll hit you up with the third part of the process, post-production, and all the things that are involved in that part of the process as well. In the meantime, review previous episodes to get familiar with pre-production after learning about production here. And we'll see you tomorrow for the next episode. Have a great day.